evaluation. There is no reportable action.
All right, thank you. We will begin now with and we will not do roll call because we did it at 5 o'clock prior to entering into closed session. We will move to Pledge of Allegiance, led this evening by Mayor Pro Tem Mark Darrows.
Thank you. Please stand if you can and join me in the pledge to our flag. Again, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if you are attending in person, and we have many people in the audience this evening, or if you're listening at home, welcome. We are going to begin this evening with some presentations. The first one, and we're always happy to do this, is a presentation from the police department of a life-saving award. So Chief Suttles, I assume you have the mic for this.
That's a lot louder than I thought it was going to be. Hi, my name is Chief Suttles, and we are here for a special occasion for this portion of it at least. And to do that, every once in a while, something happens within our department that we want to recognize. And last year, October 2024, something happened. We had an incident, and some of our officers responded. And thanks to their efforts, along with the efforts of our fire department, we were able to save a life. And that's a really huge deal. So we wanted to recognize those officers today. So I'm going to ask them to come up here right now. So we're recognizing 4 people. Due to the nature of our business, sometimes we're not always able to attend. So we're missing a couple of people. One of them is retired, and then the other one's probably on a call, I'm assuming. So we'll go ahead and I want to read the citation. The citation is what they're being awarded for, what the events that took place that night. On October 16th, 2024, at approximately 14:55 hours, officers from the Atascadero Police Department responded to a report of a traffic collision in the 4800 block of Del Rio Road. Dispatch informed the officers that a single vehicle had crashed into a fence, and the driver was suspected of suffering a heart attack. Upon arrival at 14:58 hours, Sergeant Rodriguez and Corporal Pippin observed the driver slumped over and unresponsive, appearing to be without a pulse. The officers immediately removed the driver from the vehicle and began administering life-saving efforts. Officer Hurst and Corporal Nobrega soon arrived to assist. Corporal Nobrega provided an AED from his patrol unit, while Sergeant Rodriguez maintained an open airway, and Officer Hurst confirmed the absence of a pulse. Corporal Pippin applied the AED pads, and Corporal Nobrega began chest compressions. The AED assessed the driver's vitals and advised a shock, which was administered by Corporal Pippin. The chest compressions continued until the Atascadero Fire Department arrived to take over life-saving efforts. Thanks to the joint effort of the police department and the fire department personnel, including the effective chest compressions, the CPR, and the medication administered by the fire department firefighters and a paramedic, a pulse was regained and the driver was transported to the French hospital for further care. On October 24th, 2024, the police department received an update that the driver had recovered and was being released from the hospital. The subject, accompanied by his son and daughter, visited the department to personally thank the officers for their swift and life-saving actions. We would like to commend Sergeant Rodriguez, Corporal Pippin, Corporal Nobrega, and Officer Hurst for their exceptional teamwork and quick response, which undoubtedly saved this individual's life. Their professionalism, medical knowledge, and coordination with our fire department played a critical role in the successful rescue. We are proud to award them the life-saving award for their extraordinary efforts. Thank you, gentlemen.
Right, we're going to come down and take a picture with council.
We're gonna just make it.
Pretty cool. That's what it is. Pretty cool.
Well, thank you again, officers, for doing us proud and serving the community as well as you do. We always appreciate it, and we like these opportunities to recognize all the things that you and the fire folks do for our citizens. So with that, we are going to move on to our next thing, which is Employee Recognition Awards, and we're going to turn the microphone over to our city manager, Mr. Jim Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I actually thought all these people came out for the property purchase agreement, but I guess it's for employee recognition.
They're here for the bond issue, Jim.
Yeah. Oh, this is terrific. We're having a great day today. Earlier today, we pinned the badge on 3 new officers and recognized a new commander. And now we're recognizing officers for life-saving. And one of the things we pride ourselves in here at Atascadero is our culture. We have a premier culture, and we work with each other to make sure this is the best place that an employee ever works. And we see that in tenure and time. And so we're very pleased to recognize several employees for outstanding tenure here with the city. So the first, as I call your name, if you could come up, Ryan Hofstetter, Building Inspector 2, we're celebrating 10 years. Come on up with your family if you'd like. You can come up. He's pretty cool. Come up here. Ryan joined the city 10 years ago as a building inspector 1 after running his own business as a home inspector. Ryan almost immediately passed his residential building inspector certification and hit the ground running. In 2024, Ryan achieved his commercial plumbing inspector certification, which helped him earn promotion to building inspector 2, where he is now inspecting larger projects, helping train newer inspectors, and being a helpful resource to all city staff, even outside of the department. Ryan is a member of our city safety committee, and he's been an influential person in keeping policies and enforcing policies that keep our citizens and our city safe. Ryan's commitment to the city is unmatched, doing what it takes to get the job done. We appreciate that. Even if it means completing an inspection in a beekeeping suit. That's pretty cool. Ryan is excited. We have video of that. I'm just kidding. Ryan is excited to continue learning in his new role, taking on challenges and responsibilities of building inspector 2. His growth since taking on this new position has been impressive. Outside of work, Ryan enjoys fishing and spending time with his wife, Katie, and daughter, Aurora. Is that you? Ooh, beautiful name. Thanks for 10 great years, Ryan. Police Officer Detective Ron Oberacker. There might be a hug involved in this one. I don't want to embarrass Ron. Ron began his law enforcement career in 2009 as a reserve police officer with the Porterville Police Department. After relocating to the Central Coast, Ron served as an APD reserve police officer for 2 years before attending the police academy and joining us as a full-time officer in 2015. Ron has served as a field training officer and currently in our detective unit. However, his true passion lies with the traffic unit. He has successfully secured multiple grants and established the department's major accident investigation team. A certified traffic collision reconstructionist, Ron is considered the department's subject matter expert in all things traffic related, and also supports the San Luis Obispo Police Department with major traffic incidents. Ron's strong communication skills and calm demeanor earned him a position as a negotiator on the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Crisis Negotiation Team, where he continues to serve with distinction. I would also add, I've gotten to know Ron because he's the president of the Police Officers Association. And he's a real gentleman, handles tasks with just diplomacy and compassion. I've seen him in the field. His heart is huge for victims and for making sure the right thing is always done. So I really value Ron. Outside of work, Ron keeps busy as the president. I went off script there, sorry. The Police Association and program director for Cuesta College's Aviation Maintenance Program. In his limited time off, he enjoys flying and spending out time outdoors with his two children, Caleb and Nora. Thank you for 10 great years, Ron. You know, when a city manager hugs the union president, that is good employee relations. Just wanted to make that real clear. Very good. Okay, Community Development Director Phil Dunsmore. Phil, come on over here. 10 years. Wow. I think we had a slide of you. Phil began his career here in Atascadero. We don't count the internship for SLO in college. But as an assistant planner straight out of Cal Poly, he did all of the assistant planner things, checked zoning, measured setbacks, and spoke for the Oaks. He also helped out with code enforcement, becoming known as Phil the Enforcer. Wow. Do you have like a shield or anything? That name did not stick, thank goodness. At some point, the big city called to him and he went to work down the hill for a little while. But he remained an Atascadero resident, raising his boys here and loving the opportunity to fill his property with project cars. In 2015, like many of us do, Phil made his way back to where it all started, but this time as community development director. His strong connection to the community made it an easy transition. In the time that Phil's been director, the community has grown and key projects have been improved and developed toward the city's ultimate vision. And Phil has guided and supported his team to help realize these successes and support the vision of our community. Phil is particularly proud of his contributions to the Downtown Enhancement Project, unlocking Del Rio commercial sites to allow new opportunity, and modifying zoning to make way for new retail and restaurants around the Sunken Garden. Phil enjoys working on his VWs, traveling with his wife Mary and boys Noah and Liam. Thanks for 10 years.
All right. Well, we have one more 10-year service pin or 10 years of service to acknowledge, and that's for our city manager, Mr. Jim Lewis. Jim, you need to step away from the podium, step over here where the other other folks were acknowledged. So some of you know Jim's been our city manager for a few years now. So you're wondering, why is he getting a 10-year pin? Well, Jim served his first tour in Atascadero for over 8 years as the assistant city manager and president, nice title, of the Office of Economic Development. In that role, Jim was responsible for the economic development, human resources, labor relations, technology, organizational development, creation of new revenues, operating efficiencies, and several special projects. Great training to be a city manager. So Jim has been back with us as city manager since 2023, has already seen the completion of several projects, including the noteworthy Downtown Infrastructure Enhancement Project and the kickoff of our Public Safety Facilities Project, for which we will be doing the bonding this evening. Internally, Jim has created the All for Atascadero All In campaign and worked diligently to make the mission statement come to life in day-to-day operations. Jim is smart, so it's no surprise he graduated with honors with his bachelor's degree in public policy and management from USC and has a master's of public administration from Syracuse. He is an ICMA, or International City Managers Association, credentialed manager. And where Jim goes, leadership roles follow. He has served as president of the League of Cities Board of Directors, as well as chair. I mean, we just took our place on the Central Coast Community Energy, and Jim has already been tapped as the chair of the Technical Operations Committee, and many other examples of that where, like I said, where Jim goes, leadership roles seem to follow. Jim lives in Atascadero with his wife and 2 children. He is active in Kiwanis. Nobody's perfect. Of course, I say that as a Rotarian. He is active in his church, in Boy Scouts, and anything else that comes his way. Jim may not be originally from Atascadero, but he loves this place, and we are proud that he calls it home. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you, Mayor and Council. All right, now we're moving on to 15 years. That's a long time. Dawn Patterson, yes, come on up here. All right, Dawn is our finance analyst, and she's been with us 15 years. All right. Dawn began her journey with the city the first time in 2008. I remember that. I was here. And then transitioned to full-time in 2010 with the Public Works Department. In November 2023, she made the exciting move to Finance and Administrative Services. And the finance team couldn't be happier to have her. Nice deal, Jerry. Dawn began working in finance as an accounting specialist where she was responsible for affordable housing, Caltrans, and federal project invoicing, banking duties, investment support, coordinating and participating in monthly budget meetings, organizing finance committee, and CSTOC meetings. In June 2024, because Dawn is so awesome, she was promoted to financial analyst. In addition to her previous responsibilities, she now performs more advanced accounting, analysis, journal entries, manages our liability, property, and pollution insurance policy, oversees grant administration, including tracking, reporting, invoicing, and compliance for local, state, and federal funding, plays a more significant role in the budget and year-end close, which I've enjoyed working with you on, and financial audit processes, and is a leader in the department. She's a key member of our accounting software transition team. Now, those are exciting meetings, the accounting software transition team. Yes. Dawn is a longtime resident of Atascadero. She enjoys riding and caring for her horses and her beloved mini donkey Waffles. And Waffles was elected the favorite pet from the city staff this year. So real distinction. She spends quality time with family and friends and is well known as a personal cheerleader for everyone. Please join us in congratulating Dawn. Thank you. Woo. Look at, see, there you go. There it is. Dean Perisic. Wow, 20 years, man. Come on up here. By the way, man, Dean, you've looked like that for 20 years. It's amazing. Dean is our fire captain paramedic and began his fire service career here with the city in 2002. Look at some of those great pictures. As a reserve firefighter, followed by a role as seasonal firefighter in 2003. He was hired full-time as firefighter paramedic in July 2005, promoted to engineer paramedic in 2010, and later advanced to fire captain paramedic in 2016. Over the past 20 years, Dean has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership, thank you, professionalism, and dedication to public service. As a fire captain, he's led station crews and served as a paramedic field training officer, mentoring and qualifying new paramedics entering the field. Dean is also a qualified duty officer responsible for overseeing citywide emergency operations during his assigned shifts, and you've done a terrific job at that. In this role, he provides critical incident command support, coordinates multi-unit responses, and ensures readiness across our department. Additionally, Dean is a certified strike team leader in the statewide mutual aid system. That's a big deal. He has led strike teams consisting of 5 engines and more than 20 firefighters responding to major wildfires and disasters throughout our region. Dean also oversees facility maintenance for the department and has played a key role in the planning of the remodel of Station 2 and the new Station 1. So that's a pretty big deal. That maintenance is going to go down a little bit, I hope, with these new buildings. Known for his team first mentality, which is so appreciated and so much like our culture, Dean does it all for his crew, always putting others before himself. Thank you for a great career with us and 20 years. Boy, this last one is bittersweet. Annette Menier, come on up here. Annette just retired last week. Oh, yeah. So we're sad, but her face shows that she's happy. Understood. But we are so thankful you came back so we could celebrate 25 years of service to the city. That's incredible. Over the past quarter century. Wow, that sounds impressive. Annette has been in the community development department, hired as an office assistant 3 in 2000. In 2003, she was promoted to administrative assistant during a reorganization where she made the position into what it is today. When she was promoted to administrative assistant, her personal action form, that's bureaucratic paperwork that we fill out that says you're doing something different, but it said, quote, she has special attention to customer service. And that is something I've always admired about you as one of our frontline people who give service to the development community. It's always been excellent. And that is what you've demonstrated and shown to so many. She's worn many hats and served in many roles as administrative assistant, such as clerking planning commission meetings, tackling business license, recruitment management, and has been the one to keep the community development department organized through it all. Do you keep Phil organized, really? Oh. Whew. Annette is often described as the calm at the helm, that's for sure, guiding us with patience, steadiness, and grace no matter what challenges arise. You've been an absolute joy to work with and a trusted resource for so many of us on the staff and our community. Her contributions have strengthened our city, supported our leadership, and left a lasting impact on countless projects and people. And while today we celebrate her 25-year career, we also celebrate her well-deserved retirement. So she is retiring in early October, but she is done here at City Hall, and she's on a little vacation, and we wish her joy, adventure, and fulfillment as she starts this next chapter of traveling and grandchildren. That sounds great. She leaves behind truly a legacy of excellence, and she takes with her our deepest gratitude. On behalf of all of our team, we thank you and congratulate you. So if we recognized you, can you please come up? The council would like to have a picture with our employees. So Annette, don't sit down. We're going to take a picture with you. Everybody else who are service award recipients, please come forward so we can have a nice picture with the council members. If you all want a real treat, stay for the bond financing discussion and the property purchase agreement.
Thank you all for attending and helping us recognize our employees. And we'll give everybody just a moment to leave the chamber so we can proceed to the next item in a moment. You hold it. Okay. Yeah.
Just a reminder, we have stairs on either side as well. So if you're waiting for the elevator, you don't necessarily have to. You have stairs over here too, and then we'll get our meeting started as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, for that announcement. Yes, please use the stairs if you want a fast way out of the chambers. We will go ahead and proceed or begin to proceed to the next item, which is our consent calendar. And the consent calendar consists of items that are considered routine and non-controversial by staff and will be acted upon by a single action of the city council unless otherwise requested by a council member. I will announce this evening, though, we are pulling item E4, our investment report. There was our assets are somewhat understated because we had a deposit in transit that didn't make it onto the report. So we are pulling that. So it'll be approved at our next regular meeting. So that leaves us with consent calendar items E1 through E3. Do I have any council member that wishes to ask a question of staff on any of these items? Okay, and obviously not to pull it then. And we will proceed to see if there's any public comment on any of our consent calendar items. Any member of the public wishing to speak on consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, I will return it to the council for a motion.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Funk and a second by Councilmember Peak. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Funk,
Yes.
Councilmember Peak,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Daris.
Yes.
Sorry, Mayor Borbo.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now proceed to updates from the city manager, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I do have a few. First of all, El Camino downtown safety and parking enhancements. So we are done. So everything is working, which is great. And we are moving forward to the design of phase 2, including an arch and improvements to the pedestrian tunnel. So that's terrific. And more update on that early in 26. Santa Lucia Road pavement rehab update. So please drive slowly. There's a lot of work being done out there. You can see on the picture, this is a major arterial paving project. We are working on Santa Lucia Road, including potholing and replacing of culverts. Road segments will have lane shifts and lane closures during construction. The week of the 29th through the 3rd, we'll be milling the pavement on Santa Lucia Road. Road segments will have lane shifts and or lane closures with intermittent delays. So please, if you live out there, which is a lot of us, give yourself extra time, especially going to school and trying to get out in the mornings. Construction schedules are subject to change based on staffing and weather conditions. We have a new thing this year we're trying. So with the high school parking lot torn up, and we're really trying to encourage people to park downtown, wear your orange and gray, and let's party before kickoff. Every home game, if you wear orange and gray, you'll get 10% off at these restaurants, food and drinks. You can see Barley and Boar, Cielo Street Side, Colony Sandwich, Wild Fields, and Kula. So we're really grateful. We're trying to get people downtown after our street project. And if you wear those amazing orange and gray colors, you will get 10% off. So I hope to see many of you this Friday is our next home game. So that'll be great. While we're having fun downtown, next we have Fall Sip and Shop. This is a great way to drink a little wine, see some stores, and enjoy. Tickets do and will sell out for this. So it is this Friday. Get your tickets. Beer, wine, cider at over 20 businesses. And every ticket comes with 15 plus tastings. So be careful as you're doing that. But make sure that's this Friday. Get your tickets at atascaderochamber.org. If wine isn't for you, maybe cornhole is. So on the 9th annual Showdown Cornhole Tournament is this Saturday. Well, there's a lot going on. The 27th in the Sunken Garden, brought to you by Atascadero Knights of Columbus. Registration begins on Saturday at 8 a.m. There are trophies, cash prizes, and a lot of pride on the line for first through third place. And there's a food truck on site with food and drinks that you're welcome to enjoy, but our restaurants will all be open and welcoming you. Also this Saturday, if you want to serve a little bit before you throw bags, we have the Atascadero River and Creek cleanup. And so this is a real opportunity to clean the river, Salinas River and the creek. Check in at 9 a.m. at the Mutual Water Company yard at 6575 Sycamore. Bring gloves, buckets, and water. And we will do our best to be good stewards of our environment and clean our creek and our river. On Monday, October 6th, the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments wants to hear from us on local transportation needs and desires. They're inviting anyone to come to the Pavilion at the Lake again on the 6th at 6 o'clock to learn more about the Local Roads First Transportation Initiative, which could be on the ballot but more so talking about what projects are most important to people. If there were local transportation funds available, what would those be spent on? What's really important, especially here in Atascadero? So if you have an opinion about that, please share it October 6th at 6 o'clock at the pavilion. Next month, something you put on your calendar, the free residential waste cleanup is coming. So I'll just touch that quickly. I'll talk more about it at the next meeting, but the 18th to the 25th. So this is the time you should start going through all your things at home that are no longer treasures that you want to move to the landfill. And so that'll be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., the 18th to the 25th. Just quickly, some other upcoming events, just to show how much fun we have in this community. We have movie night at the Central Coast Zoo. We have Zoo Boo. We have the 5th annual Bovine Classic. Pumpkin Smash at the zoo, which is fun for our animals, and the 2025 Fall Festival and Colony Days Parade, now November 15th. So the rec guide went out and has the older date in the calendar, but this has been moved, and it was moved really to involve more students and families, because this is at the conclusion of fall sports. The high school will have some neat plans. It's also Fall Festival, so you'll do the parade in the morning, Fall Festival. It's also the Powder Puff football game at the high school. So just a great weekend to be in Atascadero. That'll be a lot of fun. So that's what I have. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. You can always go to visitatascadero.com, and for city business, atascadero.org. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, do members of the council have any questions for the city manager? Okay. I will ask one regards to the changing of the date of Colony Days. That's been, of course, coordinated with the Colony Days Committee. How, and like you see, some things were maybe published earlier with the originally expected date. What else is happening to make the public aware that Colony Days has moved, that the parade has moved?
Yeah, well, so we did work with the committee. It was ultimately the committee's decision to support that, obviously. We have social media out. We will be doing radio advertising. I know that Terry has a whole blitz to go out the week before Colony Days would have been, and then turning it up afterwards. So she has a whole plan of things to do. But anything we can all do to get the word out is important. The schools will be putting out different flyers, which that's where a lot of our people get the information for their students. Thank you.
I think, yeah, it seems like a great idea to move it and combine it with something else that's already going to be bringing a whole bunch of people to downtown, and both activities will benefit kind of the get a mutual benefit out of it. All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is Community Forum. Community Forum is reserved for persons wanting to address the city council on any matter not on the agenda, but over which the council has jurisdiction. The Brown Act prohibits council from discussing matters not on the agenda. However, the council at its discretion may ask staff to contact a speaker regarding an issue raised, or may ask a brief question of staff. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and we ask, if you come to speak, please state your name for the record. And also, please, if you want to speak, please line up, and so we don't have to wait for people to approach the podium. So we'll see. Does anybody wish to speak during Community Forum? Mr. Oslin.
Good evening, council staff. I have a couple quick things. I asked for a little latitude because the subject matter is slow cog, but I want to prove a point that our D20 funds and our other funds definitely do go to our city. They stay here locally. As we have on the agenda tonight, we're going to hopefully be approving the build of our new fire station, et cetera, and remodel the police station. The point here is that slow cog is probably trying to put another sales tax on the ballot. And I don't think the city of Atascadero will get a good enough benefit for extra tax dollars. And I'm proud that we have two measures here that stay here, that fix our roads, help our police and fire emergency services, our infrastructure, and our regular staff does not bleed like it used to, because now we can pay a fair salary. So on October 6th, I would encourage the public from Atascadero to go and tell Slow Cog no. That's my personal opinion. I wish our council would also be bold in this, because it's not in the best interest, in my opinion. On another note, East Mall, still waiting for a sign that says yield on red, left turn, something of that nature. It was worded, but on the way here today, It was backed up the West Mall and almost again to the movie theater because of the one car trying to make a left turn facing La Plaza. If we can straighten that out, I think our roads are moving much better. I did notice that ECR in Traffic Way is actually flowing a little better. So I'm glad we got that fixed. That's a definite plus. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please. And by the way, I think we might hear from Slowcog. So,
Good evening. My name's Frank Hogg. I'm up here basically just to ask the city council to consider fixing the broken water pipe that goes to the Atascadero Lake from the Three Bridges area. I believe there's a consultant that's already been hired to do that. I'm not positive about that, but that's the word I've heard. I personally was a consultant for many municipalities in San Luis County and Santa Barbara County. And I understand the process is extremely slow. And I would basically ask that we already know where it's broken. I don't think we really need a consultant to tell us where it's broken. I mean, maybe we need a consultant to tell us what the best way to fix it is. But unfortunately, it takes time to do consulting work, and it basically requires a budget once you actually figure out what's going on. So it might be 2 or 3 years before something actually happens. I mean, I hope it's sooner than that, because if you've looked at our lake lately, it's not too pretty. It's got maybe, I don't know, 2 feet of water in most of the area. So that's really my major concern. I've noticed that there's been a lot of promotion lately for Atascadero, the inner downtown area, and also the new zoo name of Central Coast Zoo. And I've seen that on streaming channels and all over the place. And so I would say, we've spent a lot of effort and time and getting advertisements out there to say what a great city we have. And we do have a great city, but it'd be nice if we maintained some of the aspects that we're trying to promote, which is the Atascadero Lake area and the zoo and all that stuff. Thank you.
thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm John D'Annunzio, Slowcog staff. I have two updates, community information to get out. The first is to talk about a road safety forum that is going to be hosted down at the Ludwig Center on Thursday evening. Its title is called The Last Call, Charting a Safer Course for Streets and Roads and Paths in SLO County. This is a community forum on preventing impaired and distracted driving, biking, and walking. Detective Ron Overacker from your force is going to be one of the guest panelists. This forum is an opportunity for education and prevention and for stakeholders and the public to get together and to learn and to how they can do their part. You can learn more about that at 805 TICS or Slowcog Road to Zero. Again, that's Thursday evening at the Ludwig Center, starting at 4:30. Panels start at 6 p.m. The second item, as mentioned by City Manager Lewis and the speaker before me, is that Slowcog is going to be hosting 6 community workshops in September and October to engage with residents about the Local Roads First initiative. This is a potential countywide transportation measure that may appear on the November 2026 ballot. The region really doesn't get its fair share from state and federal resources for highway, streets, and roads. And of course, you take regional roads to get to Atascadero as well. These workshops are designed to give residents a chance to meet directly with staff and to learn more about our county's transportation funding challenges, to also share their priorities for local roads, infrastructure, and safety projects. 5 sessions are going to be held across the county. Again, as the 2 that were mentioned, at the Pavilion on the Lake on Monday, October 6th, starting at 6 p.m., but then also up in Paso Robles at the Sentinel Park Live Oak Room at 6 p.m. There's also a Zoom webinar on Wednesday, October 15th. If you cannot attend in person, and you can find out more about it at the localroadsfirst.com website. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other speakers wishing to approach? Okay, seeing none, we will close community forum, and I will ask Mr. DeBar, you have spoken before regarding the status of the pipeline from the creek to the lake. If you could get together with the gentleman, perhaps, don't need to go over it again here, but in terms of what is being done and why it takes so long, which I understand permitting is a significant piece of the timeline problem on that. But the city has spent considerable amounts of money over the years trying to maintain and keep that pipeline functioning. Of course, it is old. So, okay, and yes, and certainly would encourage people to go to the SLOCOG event on October 6th, if to, hear what and provide input, public input as to what people would like to see in terms of projects that would benefit Atascadero. Okay, with that, we will close community forum and we will move on to our first public hearing, which is regarding the city of Atascadero and the city council also sitting as the Atascadero Financing Authority to approve and authorize the issuance of lease revenue bonds related to our public safety projects. So I believe, I'm not sure if I'm turning this over to the city manager or to Ms. Rangel, our Administrative Services Director. And I would note that this is a lengthy staff report because it has all the bonding related information, all the documents related to bonding that we were asked to approve. And so we've had a chance already to read it all and to ask many questions if we've been so inclined. So I will turn it over to you, but the public, this is generally speaking, not the most exciting thing in the world. I find it very interesting personally as a finance guy, but I have to acknowledge that not everybody does. So let's turn it over to our Administrative Services Director, Ms. Rangel, and see if you can make it interesting. That's a challenge.
Thank you very much for that challenge there. It is actually very exciting. And it is my pleasure to bring this item to you this evening. Over the past several months, City Manager Lewis, City Attorney Fleischman, Deputy Administrative Services Director Chavez, and I have had the very privilege of working closely with an outstanding bond team. We are very grateful for this experience, for their experience, professionalism, and dedication demonstrated by each member of that team and their respective colleagues throughout this important bond issuance process. I'd like to recognize several members of the bond team who are here tonight. Michael Bush, Chief Strategy Officer for Urban Futures, our municipal advisor. Ralph Holmes, Managing Director with Piper & Sandler and Company, our underwriter. And Vanessa Legbant, Partner with Stradling, Yoka, Carlson, and Routh LLP, our Bond and Disclosure Counsel. We also extend our sincere appreciation to Wing C. Fox with Urban Futures and other members of the bond team who are not here this evening, but whose contributions have been equally vital to the success of this effort. All present members of the bond team are available to respond to questions you may have following the presentation. The Atascadero Financing Authority was established through the joint exercise of powers agreement between the city and the Atascadero Industrial Development Authority. Through this partnership, the authority will issue approximately $29 million in lease revenue bonds, with the city making the lease payments to the authority to cover the associated debt service. These bonds are being issued for the Public Safety Facilities Project, which is a critical investment for the safety and well-being of our community. This project will modernize and upgrade 3 essential first responder facilities, which are the fire stations and the police station. These improvements are vital to ensuring our public safety personnel have the infrastructure they need to respond effectively and efficiently to emergencies. We will provide more detail in the scope and benefit of that project in the upcoming slides. The city will make semi-annual payments using Measure D20 funds, which have been allocated in the city's budget for this purpose beginning in fiscal year 21-22. Initially, leased assets will include both fire station, the police station, and City Hall. Upon completion of the project, City Hall will be released from that lease structure. As part of the financing arrangement, the city has several key obligations, which include annual budgeting for the debt service payments, maintaining appropriate insurance coverage, including rental interruption insurance, and complying with continuing disclosure requirements. And at this time, I will turn the presentation over to Assistant City Manager Christensen to review the project details.
Thank you, Director Rangel. We've talked about the public safety facility project probably for going on well over 4 years. So the idea for this sort of came up as we were as the council decided to put Measure D20 on the ballot, looking at ways to help fund the replacement of Fire Station 1, knowing that that was a structurally and operationally deficient building, how we were going to continue to make our public safety facilities usable as we continue to move on into the future of the buildings, and to make it operationally sufficient for modern police and fire operations. And so D20 went on the ballot, and when that was approved, we really started looking into what that means. What type of facilities can we afford? What does that look like? And part of that was to look first at reconstructing Fire Station 1. So Fire Station 1 is over 70 years old. Like I said, it is both structurally and operationally deficient. Admin for the fire actually had to move over into City Hall to create enough space for fire operations to work out of the station and create space for those who need to live and work there daily. And so in looking at that and in trying to figure out how we actually upgrade, we started to move into what's called the design build process. And then that to give us a way to really expedite the construction timeline and have it be both an innovative and collaborative process for both design and construction. So this has allowed the fire department, this has allowed Public Works, it's allowed planning, it's allowed the police department to have active engagement with the project from day one. So you can see here with Fire Station 1, we are moving from a 1-story, approximately 6,000 square foot building to a 2-story, over 17,000 square foot building that will allow all of administrative operations to move back into the fire station. And it will also give the city a emergency operations center, what we don't currently have. We do operate an emergency operations center out of PD, but it isn't operationally functional for what we need in the event of an emergency. We need a dedicated space, one where everyone can go and we aren't impeding police operations that need to continue out of that. So this will be its own separate space in Fire Station 1. It also upgrades, well, it's brand new. It's a brand new build. So it gives living quarters. Living quarters will be on the upstairs for our fire, and downstairs will be admin. It'll be our watch offices. It will also have a better response time for our firemen to get down out of living quarters or where they're at in the admin into the apparatus bays and then out, because it's drive-through apparatus bays. It includes decontamination areas that we don't currently have. So it also brings us into meeting those new safety requirements. And as more has been learned with safety, more that we know that we need to implement into our fire. So you can kind of see a rendering of it there, 2 stories. It will utilize the entire area now on that corner there at Traffic Way. So while we won't see that big grass area anymore, we will know that we now have a building that can provide the type of operational and structural space that we need for modern fire. If you could advance for me. We are also, as part of this project and the money we have been able to set aside, will be doing comprehensive renovations of Fire Station 2. As we were looking into Fire Station 1, it also became very evident of a 40-year-old fire station over at Fire Station 2 that is also structurally and safety and operationally deficient, doesn't have any room for growth, and it doesn't meet the needs of a safely operating fire department. So this will be essentially a brand new build of the living quarters, and it'll be upgrades to the apparatus bay. So things that like working out and workshops and that type of stuff that was occurring inside the apparatus bay will now move. It'll have a whole new exhaust system in that meets the requirements for reducing cancer-causing particles, and it will increase the growth size of our station. So where we now have 3 bedrooms, this will give 4. It revises where you take entry of Fire Station 1 for the public, so that we now have more accessible pathways to the fire station, and creates a safety barrier from our fire department and the public coming in. It does give them upgraded living spaces, just the things that they need to have day-to-day living and working. This one, sorry, it grows a little bit, but so this is about a little shy of a 6,000 square foot building. And on the budget on the other one, as you could see, was a little over 21 million, and this is just shy of 5 million. Fire Station 1 will be our last project to be completed, since that is a whole tear down and new build that's looking for completion in fall of 2027. This one will be Marchish of 2027. And then PD is also going to get some refresh and renovation. They're also, again, a building that was re-outfitted to be a police department well over 40 years ago, is also not set up for operational efficiencies or to operate as a modern police station. So once again, we looked at what can we do to modernize that and to make it both safer and more efficient for our officers. So we will be doing some remodeling of the locker and restrooms. We'll be upgrading security systems and ingress and egress of our police vehicles. And we will be constructing a new dispatch center right offside the large building, so that dispatch now has a space to do the dispatch operations that isn't a pass-through of both our officers and the public. So while it is disconnected, it's just set aside. It's less than 30 feet, so it still remains part of their operational core. And then that frees up space for additional office or meeting space in the police department, which they desperately need. And so this one, again, this is approximately 4 million, and we're expecting this one to be completed in April of 2027, though the first construction will be the dispatch center, so that we can start getting those operations up and running, and that there isn't a lot of interruption of that services. Obviously, with renovating these buildings, with building a brand new fire station, that does mean that our firemen and our policemen will have some level of displacement. So both our fire stations will move into temporary housing. You'll start to see some of that come in. Temporary housing for Fire Station 2 will be on site at Fire Station 2, and then temporary housing for Fire Station 1 will move over to the Armory. And the Armory, we will license the Armory facility and use that to have a temporary Fire Station 1. And then police will sort of move around where they can, or come into some of our other buildings where we have space if that's necessary, in order for them to continue to remain operational. And I think with that.
Okay, I see the experts approaching the podium. I did want to comment for members of the public that the council had already previously approved the design, what the project is, what the projects consist of, and we've already actually awarded the contract for doing so. So what we're discussing here this evening is the actual bond financing to enable us to pay for it in one fell swoop. So we won't, be entering into discussions on, the design and the features or anything else like that. So, because we are here to talk about the bond financing, and I see we have both the bond counsel in the back and the I'm going to call you just the experts on the bonding process here. And again, this is a very lengthy document, so we appreciate you coming and helping us through this process. Please proceed.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. Now it's time for the boring part. So very straightforward. What we're doing, we're issuing bonds to finance these projects, roughly $29.5 million in bonds to raise about $30 million in project funds. That includes some interest earnings over the time it takes to actually spend the money. Debt service is expected to be less than $2 million a year, 30 years of debt service payments again in November and May each year. There you've got the source and uses, the projected. This hasn't happened yet. It'll happen when we sell the bonds, and Mike will speak to the process there. We have not to exceeds here, and those not to exceeds are in place in case there's a reason that the market moves and you give flexibility to staff. But what's shown there is actually what's expected. So pretty straightforward. Level debt service, we point that out. Debt service doesn't grow. So very, very straightforward process. I'll turn it over to Mike and you can speak to the next part of the presentation.
Can you go back to that slide though? Leave that slide up for just a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity to be here on the behalf of Urban Futures tonight. Before I begin with this slide, I want to follow up a comment that Jerry made about my colleague, Wingsy Fox. She couldn't be here today, so you have me. I will try to not make it boring. I threatened to tell stories about your city manager. I've known him a long time, but Ralph told me not a good idea. But I want to say something. I recruited Wingsy Fox 8 years ago as the owner and CEO of Urban Futures. She is by far the best MA in the state of California. And I've had a pleasure working with you. I know your staff has too. Tonight, unfortunately, you get me. As for next steps, both the City Council and the Financing Authority Board will be asked to consider resolutions approving the issuance of the lease revenue bonds, the Series 2025A, up to a not exceed amount, as Mr. Holmes referenced, $33 million. These resolutions also authorize the financing team and the final form of the key documents that are attached to your large staff report, including the ground lease, the lease agreement, the indenture, the bond purchase agreement. Those are all the documents you see listed up here now. Next slide, please. This is your team. You've heard from most of us tonight. Ms. Legbrandt is going to introduce herself. I don't think we have someone from BNY Mellon here, but they are your trustee on your this transaction and other transactions, but we're all available to answer any questions you may have. And in the resolution lists all of us as the team members that are working on your transaction. Next slide, please. And finally, this is your schedule to go forward. As you may be aware, we had a rating call just a few days ago. It was a very strong presentation. Your staff did outstanding, very compelling. Mr. Lewis pushed very hard for a very high rating. We'll see how effective that was, but it was outstanding. I want to add something to that presentation that I think you might find unique from a financial advisor. About a year ago, I was given a tour of this building by Mr. Lewis. I came here once when it was after the earthquake, and I've been telling Jim for 10 years, you got to get me inside that building. I want to see that building. I've been through every city hall. But as I went through the building, I made a comment to Mr. Lewis as we walked through all the departments. Every single area was clean. Every desk was organized, everything was put away. And I made a comment to Jim, I've been through a lot of city halls, I've never seen that. That level of organization and dedication came solidly through in the credit presentation. The passion, the desire to serve, it's everywhere in Atascadero. And I was a witness to it, both through the tour and on the presentation. They did a great job. With some luck, and I think deep staff skill, will get a good solid rating later on this month in a few days. And then from that point on, we are rolling forward, assuming approval tonight with some of the documents, and then we'll price. Mr. Holmes, myself, Wingsy will be working with your staff, Mr. Leg and Ms. Legbrandt, to price the bonds and ultimately to close the transaction by the end of the month. And with that, I'd like to have Miss Legbrandt, sorry, introduce herself to you as your bond and disclosure counsel.
Thank you very much. I'm Vanessa Legbrandt. You've seen me before because I helped to form the Atascadero Industrial Development Authority and the Atascadero Financing Authority. And I just wanted to add on to what my colleagues have said. One of the documents that is in your lengthy agenda package is the preliminary official statement, and that is the disclosure document that gets provided to potential investors of these bonds. And I know that you've been reviewing it because I've been, getting questions passed along to me from Ms. Rangel, and I really appreciate that. The schedule has us posting, which means sending to investors, the preliminary official statement next Monday. And so if anything else occurs to you, or if you have any other questions, please do feel free to send them along. And next Monday, when we finalize and send out the document, we know it's going to be in really great shape. Your staff has worked really, really hard to fly spec all the details, ask lots of questions, and it's been a great process.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude presentations on staff and consultant presentations? All right, thank you. If we could go back to the slide that showed the numbers on it, that one there. I noticed here, I didn't see this in the report, but that, the par amount of the bonds, but the premium. So we're expecting the total sale price of the bonds, if you will, to be almost $30.1 million then?
That's right.
Okay. And then, of course, so cost of issuance 817, so we would expect to receive a little over $30 million then.
That's right.
From this. Now, in terms of the dates themselves, in the report, it indicates to be sold the week of October 6th. Your chart or your slide indicated specifically October 7th.
That's what stuff.
How hard and fast is that? I mean, if you wake up on, or we all wake up on October 6th and something crazy happened in the market, somebody said something crazy, or, the Fed announced, a special rate cut or something, who knows? How much latitude do we have in terms, or do you have on our behalf in terms of the actual timing? How hard and fast is that October 7th?
You have latitude. Actually, your staff will have the decision to go or not go on that date. I've had financings where we went into the market and the rates were not right. The staff said, whoa, this is not what we expected. And we delayed the financing. So there's full latitude.
Okay. And how much of a time window is there, in essence, if things are crazy and we need to settle down for 3 days or a whole week or something? I
mean, you've got several months probably.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. That's
things-
more latitude than I thought. That's good. That's good to know. And so that would be in conjunction with our staff making that, you and our staff making that determination.
There's actually a pre-pricing that happens the day before pricing, where your
Okay.
city team and your consulting team look through the market and we look at comparables. Ralph's team comes forward and says, here's our expectations for tomorrow. Usually that's one opportunity before the pricing date.
Got it.
That you'll have a chance to decide if you want to go forward or not. This transaction is being presented as a negotiated transaction as opposed to a competitive. A competitive is a hard date. You decide long before this is a date we're doing it no matter what.
Okay. Didn't
You
realize that.
structured it differently for that benefit.
Okay.
Let's
Thank you.
hypothetically, you're good to go the day before, but that morning, Ralph will reach out to Mr. Lewis or Jerry or myself and say, hey, something happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
Here's what we see. We want to wait, or they'll have a call with us and tell us what's going on. Then we can decide to go
Got
forward.
it. And so this Thursday, we expect the actual rating coming out of the rating meeting you guys had and the rating presentation. If that's, and I understand if that's a AA, we don't have to have a certain form of insurance. But it would also, the higher the rating, the lower the interest rate by, I assume, several basis points. What impact would an AA rating have versus an AA minus?
10 basis points or so.
Okay.
And in terms of insurance, we'll run an analysis and we'll look at the benefit of insurance and the cost of insurance. And if it makes sense, then you go forward. If it doesn't, you don't.
Okay, got it. And then on that chart again, there was a term regarding some other form of Okay, down here. I thought there was another form of another mention of a type of insurance, or maybe it was in the report. I'll look for it. I'll defer to my colleagues. Oh, rental interruption insurance. Since we're more or less leasing this stuff, to ourselves as the financing authority, and then leasing it, back to the city to utilize, and the city pays the financing authority the rent. Why do we need rental interruption insurance?
Because if you can't use the facility, you can't pay rent.
Okay, if we can't use the facility.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. We wouldn't be allowed to pay rent if the facility burned down, we wouldn't be allowed to pay. Okay, okay. Just want to understand it. Thank you very much. Okay, I will turn to my colleagues and see what questions they might have. We have had the opportunity to ask the city manager and the finance director detailed questions. So go ahead. We'll start with Councilmember Funk.
Yes, thank you. And I first want to thank Director Angel, City Manager Lewis, and Ms. Christensen in the background for a lot of time. I saw in the documents that we as a council have to attest to the veracity of the disclosure statement that is quite extensive in these documents. And I did take that seriously, and they have been supporting me with lots of questions. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank Assistant City Manager Christensen for just circling back and reminding us why we're doing this, the importance of having facilities that aren't going to fall down on the next earthquake, that are big enough, a downtown fire station that can actually hold the ladder truck that we need to have downtown, and that keep our firefighters safe from the hazardous materials that now happen when anybody's house burns down. They come slimed with all this stuff, and they need to be able to handle that safely. And, that's just way more complicated than your average garage and living quarters proposition. So I appreciate that. And also the need to get our dispatch so that we can train two dispatchers at the same time, and that our dispatchers can handle a major emergency, right? Which, we thankfully have not gotten fried with, but we're living on borrowed time. So it's really important that we're building the capacities to handle the things that could be major threats to our community, and doing the responsible thing. I also wanted to confirm, as was noted in the staff report, can we confirm that this action that we're being asked to take tonight does not in itself raise any taxes on anybody? That the expectation is that the funds that we see here that are going to debt services have already been committed to by our taxpayers in their passage of Measure D20.
Yes, that's correct. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilmember.
Okay, thank you. And then I noticed that we are mortgaging City Hall to make this important objective happen. And I want to make sure I understand. I think I understand why we're doing it. It's sort of what my understanding of this is like. It's if you're a homeowner and you want to build an accessory dwelling unit, you can't use the ADU as collateral because it doesn't exist yet, even though it's going to produce rent and it's going to be really valuable. So you have to use your house as collateral, and then maybe later on you refinance and get the house off that mortgage. And that's essentially what is it fair to say that that's similar to what we're doing here?
I think that's a similar idea, correct. And as soon as the projects are complete, then City Hall will be removed from that.
Okay. And you're confident, I saw it in the documents in a couple of different places because I looked for it. The authority to do that, the disclosure that we intend to do this, are all of the, all of the little places in this paperwork, complex paperwork where it needs to be, do we in fact have that, the authorization and the disclosure that we will be able to pull City Hall off the collateral list once the new properties are done? I'll let our bond counsel answer that one.
Yes, that's correct. Essentially, when the city certifies that the projects have been completed and that you have the ability to use both fire stations and the police department, then the city has its own ability to, without getting permission from anyone else, remove City Hall from the leases, the financing leases.
Great. Thank you very much for clarifying that. One sort of a little bit more technical question. On page 267, we talk about not having a funded reserve for this project, and I think technically, but as a practical matter, as you see that debt service, haven't we already been setting aside most of that money every year since D20 passed into a reserve that helps fund things about this project, even if it's not a reserve that goes to the bond payments?
Yes, we have been putting money aside, D20 money for this project, both for debt service and for other things that the bond will not pay, like furniture and fixtures and things like that, that you really don't want to pay for over a 30-year term. So we have both components of that coming out of the D20 money.
Great. Okay. And that's also a discipline that says that we're not going to have some budget emergency that we suddenly have to make room for $2 million in bond payments, because we've been doing most of that already. We've been doing, it started $1.5 million, right? And then went up to $1.8 million, and we've
Correct.
been very close to that amount.
Correct.
Okay, great. Then the last thing I want to ask about is one of the provisions requires us to guarantee that we're offering the quiet enjoyment of these properties. I had some trouble figuring out how on earth do we offer quiet enjoyment of a fire station, a police station, and all of their lovely sirens that they need to use. Could you explain that a little bit?
I can.
Okay.
That's legalese. It's kind of a legal concept for when you lease property to somebody, that they have the full use of it without being impaired by the landlord, right? So my children might be very loud, and they are, but if I rent a house, my lease is going to say that I have the quiet enjoyment of that house, even though in fact it's not going to be a quiet household at all. But it's legalese in the lease documents.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
That'll do it for now.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Newsom, any questions? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Daris? Okay. Councilmember Peak. All right, thank you. With that, we will open this up to the public, seeing if there are any members of the public wishing to speak on this item. Mr. Oslin.
I just love the consultants laughing as I come up here. I am going to actually give Council Member Funk some credit. She hit a couple questions I had, so that's great. Thank you, because I read some of these documents, of course. So the insurance one is an interesting one, I guess. I mean, I could see an earthquake or something, unfortunately, happening, but God forbid if the firehouse ever burnt down, that would be scary as could be. But moving on, what's older, Fire Station 1 or Beano's? Now, for those of you that don't know what Beano's is where the police station is. That was the first department store in Atascadero. So I'm glad we're taking a $10,000 building and adding about $4 million of improvements to it. The question comes down to the interest rate. Can we refinance our bonds once they're issued if somehow interest rates were to drop? Is that a possibility? And can we pay off our debt sooner if somehow miraculously the state of California gave us $20 million or something in a grant? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oslin. Would any other member of the public wish to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to council. And actually, I did have the question, and I think the answer is 5 years, but because I see it's kind of blank where it talks about, the redeemability of the bonds or our ability to call the bonds. As I saw it in the statement, that year was blank, but it's usually 5 years on municipal bonds, correct?
Typically more like 8 to 10 years, that there's sort of a lockout period for the refunding or prepayment.
Okay, but why is it not mentioned in there what it is, or did I just miss it?
It's a pricing provision, so it's set at the time of pricing of the bonds. So sometimes we can push it, and so if we can, we want that ability.
Okay, got it. So it could be, you're suggesting it would most likely end up between 8 and 10 years? Okay, which then to answer the public question is, yes, you can redeem the bonds once they reach the call point. And, you know, cities frequently do that. I mean, we refinanced our redevelopment authority bonds because of more favorable rates, plus to, you know, clear this building off of the collateral so we could collateral it for this issue. But, okay, thank you. So I want to understand, but yes, municipalities frequently do refinance bonds when interest rates are favorable for doing so. Okay, seeing, as I mentioned, we brought it back to council. Any further discussion on the part of council, or are we ready for a motion? Which, when we do a motion, I will note that it's in multiple parts. Because we are acting here both as the city council and as the authority. So if anybody would like to make a motion, city clerk, can I assume, even though we're acting as both bodies, we could just make a motion to adopt all three staff recommendations in the report?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so with that in mind, entertain a motion.
Yeah,
Councilmember
I think this is a very professional piece of work. I'm excited about it, and I'm pleased to offer the motion that the council adopt the draft resolution as articulated in the staff report, and that the board of directors adopt the draft resolution for the ground lease as articulated in the staff report.
Okay, I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Funk, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Daris. No discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Funk,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Daris,
Yes.
Mayor Bobo.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is a milestone, folks. I mean, we are on our way to having new public safety buildings. And I don't know if anybody knows the answer to Mr. Oslin's question, but I believe that Beano's is younger than the fire station. And also it was, of course, extensively remodeled in 1987, 88, when it was purchased by the city as the fire, you know, to be the new police station. Because I was on the city council when we made that purchase. So, however, not continuously, like Mr. Lewis, I had an extensive break of about 30 years. So, all right. With that, thank you all. Thank you especially to our bond experts. I would ask you to consider putting a different map in the preliminary official statement. It's got a map that looks like it came out of a 1986 chamber brochure. It doesn't accurately reflect the boundaries of the city. You know, it has some very weird reference points around the state. It lists places like, I don't know, Susanville, but not San Francisco. It just looks very weird. So maybe somebody could work on that. But thank you
Yes,
again for
nothing
your
to-
advice and counsel, and we look forward to the rating on Thursday. We'll look forward to hearing about that. And then October 7th, unless that date changes, will be a big day for our city. So thank you all again, and we will move on to the next item, which is a public hearing regarding, well, actually, it's a management report regarding the Centennial Plaza purchase agreement. Does any member of the council wish for us to take a break, or should we just proceed on? Proceed on? Okay, very good. Then we will proceed to that item.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, if I may, I think the next item is a hearing on the economic development subsidy.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's
Thank you.
related to the purchase agreement,
Yes.
but it is the economic development subsidy. Yes, very good. Okay, let's move on to that. And I assume that will be Mr. Dunsmore.
Yes, in just a moment, I'm actually going to introduce Lorelei Capel. She's going to give you a presentation on this part of the project. We actually have two items to present to you tonight on Centennial Plaza, and they're kind of intertwined. The first one being this economic development subsidy report, which really illustrates why the city is letting this property go for less than market value. Oh, Lorelei already found a place across the way. I was going to have her get in my spot in just a moment, but she's seated in. So introducing Lorelei Capel, Economic Development. She's going to give you some basic facts about the economic development subsidy for Centennial Plaza.
Thank you, Phil. Stole Casey's seat. I hope he doesn't mind when he comes back. All right, so I'd like to talk to you briefly this evening about the economic development subsidy. This is something that's required by Government Code Section 53083. Anytime a community sells property for less than market value, for example, or is less than $600,000 subsidy. Thank you, Bill. They need to hold a public hearing, post this on the website, and make sure it's all clear and transparent. So next slide. So this project, the Centennial Development Project, is something that was spurred by the action plan. The 2023-2025 City Council Action Plan, it supports downtown vitality by catalyzing development on vacant land right around Sunken Gardens and also adjacent to our creek. It also incentivizes active ground floor uses, and those are both things that we're hoping to see happen on Sunken Gardens. This is a catalyst project. It's something that went through a public process where we put out a request for proposals back last year, and we had developers bid on this project. We had 6 developers bid, and we chose one project as a council, and $13 million private mixed-use vertical mixed-use development was chosen. This project is estimated to generate about 50 jobs and $75,000 to $100,000 in annual tax revenue as a result of the subsidy. The subsidy itself, I'll go through those numbers in just a moment, is, see here, sorry about that. The subsidy itself would be going to Centennial Plaza Walk LLC. The timeline would be on the closing date of escrow for the sale of the property, which is the property at 5901 East Mall. The amount of the subsidy, the land appraised that the city owns is for $350,000, and the sale price would be $150,000. So a subsidy of roughly $200,000. That doesn't take into account some of the pieces of the cost, the cost of the land and what we bought it for back in the day. So there's factors in there, but that is the amount of the subsidy. Really, the description of the subsidy is that the reduction in price is really due to the fact that there are zoning restrictions that come with a project such as this. Most projects like this would not pencil without having parking available, which it does not on site. They are also adjacent to a creek. There's other challenges with developing. So in order to catalyze development on this property, that's what this is. That's what the subsidy is for and the purpose of it. Again, talked about the projected tax revenue, $75,000 to $100,000 a year once it's fully occupied and tenant occupied. And again, creating jobs, full-time jobs are estimated at 35, part-time 12, and that doesn't include all of the jobs that are created temporarily for construction period. So our recommendation to council before we leave it open for some questions is to conduct a public hearing, which is why we're here today, to receive public testimony on the economic development subsidy for the Centennial Development Project at 5901 East Mall, and receive, file, and approve the information on the subsidy required pursuant to Government Code Section 53083 contained in the public notice and report. This information will be required to be posted on our website under the project description for the Centennial Development Project as well. And do you have any questions for me?
Hey, do members of the council have questions? Well, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how I'm going to ask this question. I understand, when there's a project that the city wants to do and we get bids, contractors will come in, bids, and we can do it for this amount and the lowest will get win the project. This is a little bit different. We were asking for the proposals on this property. So what made it competitive? What made the winner win this thing? They're all getting the same subsidy. So is it just the beauty of the project? Or what? Yeah. So how was the winner selected for this project?
So earlier this year, we had a committee created for the review of these projects, and we looked at all of the 6 projects, and we had criteria that we ranked those against. And those went from how much is the value of the project and what level of investment would it be bringing to our community. Some of the projects brought $1 million, and this one in case brought $13 million. Some were 1 story, some were 3 stories. There were some really interesting concepts, but in the end, it was really about what is the objective of this project and what meets the development criteria set forth in the planned development overlay zone that was adopted prior to this initiating this process. And this project hit all of those items on the head and brought a $13 million investment to an area where we have seen a lot of kind of a sleepy after 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock environment. And when you want eyes on your creek to make sure good things are happening and not undesirable things are happening, or eyes on your sunken gardens, this is the project that will bring probably an 18-hour environment with residential on the 3rd floor and 2nd floor, as well as office. And then, of course, a restaurant and some nightlife on the ground floor and some retail. It also, the zoning requirements that we talked about, it also is asked to have a restaurant open or a restroom open to the public. And that's not an easy thing to ask others to do. So this was a very unique process, and where we solicited a developer, said who would be willing to do these things. And those were our 6 bids, which led to our 1.
So the RFP had to have fairly specific requirements, I mean, with the zoning. So the 6 bids came in, they were different enough to be able, I mean, because they could all satisfy the same program, but they didn't. They were just different, and some shown that they would bring in different revenue.
Yeah, and this, without a subsidy, in staff's opinion, this project, and from conversations with developers, honest conversations, this project would be very challenging to complete because of the constraints, the zoning, the location, the size of the parcel, and the lack of parking, which is still yet to be decided. So there's a lot of things that kind of went into that, but yeah, you're correct.
That criteria in terms of what we were looking for was laid out by us in guidance to staff. And then when you evaluate those proposals and brought them back, we approved the selection of this particular development team here at a council meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. And more details about the project will follow when Mr. Dunsmore kind of clarifies what the the agreement would look like.
Thanks. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting, because I figured, I mean, if 6 bids are all going to follow the same program, I mean, how different could it be? But apparently it was different enough.
Very
to be able to
different.
say, well,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Peak, any questions? Okay, we'll go to this side. Councilmember Funk?
Just a couple of them here. In this, let me make sure I understood the numbers right, that this project is expected to generate 100,000 to 75 to 100,000 a year in tax revenue. And we're looking at a one-time effective subsidy of $200,000. So this is it's got a 2.5 year payback period, right, on the city's investment.
That's correct.
Impact.
Yeah. And that's
Okay.
75 to
very
100,000 annually in tax revenue.
Right.
Mhm.
And everything thereafter. And that doesn't count the synergy that happens by this project then making it more attractive for others to invest in activities in that nearby area that would generate more tax revenue and help support the businesses that are already there to thrive and generate more tax revenue.
That's correct. It also doesn't factor necessarily what construction could bring to this process when you have people coming and spending and building over a two-year period. So that's correct.
True. Okay, great. And then there were in the process itself, there was a lot of care. And maybe, I don't know if you wanted to defer this question to the second piece of this, but I know when we looked at the design review, there were some specific elements of this project that were about trees and respecting and managing the impact on trees that are whether on this site or near this site. Could you or Director Dunsmore talk a little bit about what care was taken with regard to those trees?
Yeah.
Council, if I may, I have an exhibit in the following presentation that's going to really clarify that topic and any topics related to the potential development of the property. Thank you.
Okay, we can just wait on that then and come back to that later. And then with regard to managing the parking for this, I mean, I assume that a couple of things. I mean, if it's for the extent to which these are downtown businesses aren't expected to have parking on their itty bitty sites for their customers, because you wouldn't have a downtown if we did. That's why we have all of that street parking. But do we have confidence, is staff taking every effort not to take or reallocate slots that are typically used with great frequency by the parents of kids who are attending events at the middle school or dropping their kids off or picking their kids up in the afternoon?
I think that's a good question, but that also seems like that would be really more germane to the next item. So if
Sure.
we could hold that
We can hold
thought.
that.
Am I correct in that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
We can hold that. I think the numbers make the payback period makes the investment clear. Thank you.
Councilmember Newsom? Any question? All right, thank you. Yeah, I think it's very clear that, the payback period is very, very short for this sort of thing. Okay, we will open this item up to the public, see if any member of the public would like to comment. Nope, seeing that Mr. Oslin has left the room, I see no one approaching. Okay, then we will bring it back to council for any further discussion or a motion. And there's, the motion here is clear. It's just to, because essentially we're notifying the public that we're engaging in the subsidy. So do I have a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
I move that we adopt staff recommendation to approve the subsidy.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. We have a motion by Councilmember Peak and a second by Councilmember Newsom. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peak,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Funk,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Daris,
Yes.
Mayor Bobo.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will move on to item I1, which is a management report regarding the Centennial Plaza purchase agreement. And Mr. Dunsmore, I see Lorelei is leaving her station, so I assume it's back to you.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, Council. Yes, I'm hoping this is the final piece in a very long puzzle to bring together the transaction of the Centennial Plaza vacant properties. This all began some years ago at a council hearing when we discussed what should happen with these properties. And we wanted something that was consistent with the council action plan. And I think Lorelei mentioned those in her prior report. Here's the site today. It's a vacant site. There are several oak trees on it. It's properties that surround the Centennial Plaza. So these are the actual subject properties outlined on the screen in red. There's actually 2 sites. Historically, there was about 5 lots. There's an additional lot outside of these that's already been purchased by the buyer, Colin Wyrick. This is a site plan of what the development would look like on those particular lots surrounding the plaza. The plaza would remain public, and the city sale is for the private lots only. I love this picture. This is the front view if you're looking from East Mall towards the bridge. It does dwarf a little bit the Centennial Plaza sign and plaza itself, but such a tone that it sets for the area around Sunken Gardens Park, really looking into the future for restaurant, retail spaces, mixed use, really fantastic design. Looking from the rear, if you were coming across the bridge towards City Hall, this is your viewpoint from that side. One thing to note, very interesting about the design, is the sky bridges that cross over the plaza, and those would be facilitated through easements that would cross over that public plaza to allow that to happen. Beautiful design. Super excited about that. I think a question that has come up recurrently is about the trees on the property. The trees that are shown in red are trees that would come out in order to accommodate the project. There is one very significant tree near the site. We consider that a heritage tree. It's at the south, I'll call it actually the northwest corner of the property, and it's actually on Dr. Pambrum's property on the adjacent site. But in this particular scenario, they're preserving that tree, and the building is designed to really accommodate and take advantage of the shade and characteristics and design of that tree. And the building is actually notched out to accommodate that. But there are a couple of oak trees on this site that would need to come out, and that would need to come out to accommodate anything on this site. But they're not heritage trees. They're random trees that grew on their own over the last 25 or 30 years. And they sort of surrounded an old structure that was on this property for some time. One thing very substantial to note on this project is there is a set of what I'll call conditions for the sale. I'm not going to read through all these on the screen right now, but essentially there's a purchase agreement, and attached to it is a set of CC&Rs. And those CC&Rs actually have performance standards for what the city expects after this sale transaction. What we expect is that the project is going to get a permit within a year and a half, that they're going to begin to complete the site improvements, the shell buildings, ultimately the tenant improvements, and then finally the payment of development impact fees. And the CCNRs set specific timelines and thresholds for those things to be completed. And they also include what we call a right of reverter, which means if there's non-performance, the city does have the right to go in and say, hey, you're not following what we anticipate for this property. Let's look at different action or receive the property back. And so essentially this property is being sold specifically for that project design, specifically to this owner developer, and specifically to those timelines. That's really important to acknowledge that. The intent of the city facilitating this years-long process of going through this was solely for us to incentivize and sort of guide the development of this particular project. So tonight we're asking that the city council authorize the city manager to execute that purchase agreement, the one that's attached to your staff report, in addition to the CCNRs that are attached to it, that prescribe those specific project timing conditions. Now, I do see that Colin Wyrick, the buyer, he's here tonight in the audience. Not sure if he wants to speak, but I thought I would pick on him since he's out there. But anyway, that concludes my presentation for tonight. As usual, you do have alternatives. If you need more information, we can continue this. Or you may choose to provide specific amendments to the purchase agreement based on the project phasing, timing, or other items that we've tentatively agreed to. But I will keep in mind that it's taken us a long time to get agreement on what we have thus far. And I think staff and the buyer are comfortable with where we are today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. I forgot to ask my colleagues, does anybody on the council have they had any ex parte communications that need to be disclosed regarding this item? Okay, all right, thank you. None on my part, so seeing none, we will proceed. Let's see, I want to take your recommendation. Should we offer Mr. Wyrick the opportunity to speak now, or should we wait till, let's have him speak now, if you're interested in speaking, or are you available for questions? Okay, all right, so we'll keep him in the store for potential questions. I will turn to council, starting on my left for Councilmember Peak. Any questions of staff on this item? No. Okay, all righty, Mayor Pro Tem Daris. Okay, Councilmember Funk.
So I'll come back. Thank you for addressing the trees question, Director Dunsmore. Let me just circle to comment that I know that making sure we accommodate the parking is there, staff making efforts to make sure that we don't end up with competition for civic parking spaces with our middle school parents and the usages on this lot.
Yes, and was that a question?
Yes.
You're asking? Thank you.
Yes, that was a
Sorry.
question. Question
Yes.
is staff making every effort to make sure that
Absolutely. And really good question, because the parking lot generally has two aisles that are really heavily used by parents and children. And the city is currently looking at, can we accommodate some parking spaces for this project in that particular lot? Haven't reached an agreement yet. We're wanting to hold off and have that separately. But we will ensure that if we do reach an agreement, that the parking spaces will not conflict with that traffic circulation, nor the pickup and drop off, nor those interim uses of those spaces.
Let me add real quick, and I think that's a fair question. I think that we are working with the developer on securing just the minimum parking to meet zoning code requirements. We're not throwing parking everywhere at this thing, but we know, and we also are in discussions that I can't share right now that have next to hopefully no impact on the existing parking lot. But we are trying to work that out, and I'm optimistic that that might be something that can work out. I'm the father of a 7th grader, so I'm very aware of how important that parking lot is.
Great, thank you. With great deference to Mr. Wyrick, who's brought us this very beautiful project, and it's very exciting to see this realization of what the city was hoping to achieve with this. I want to make sure that the conditions are such that the owner who's getting this subsidy can't turn around and sell the project off to somebody else to do and pocket the city's subsidy and wish somebody else good luck with that and not execute the project that was designed.
Working with our legal team, we've done our best to ensure that the purchase agreement and the CC&Rs cover that concern. Yes.
Great. Okay. It's our responsibility to make sure that happens irrespective of everyone's great intentions. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a good question because always have to remember whether we're entitling property or specific people. And so that's always a fair question. Councilmember Newsom, any question? Okay, thank you. With that, let's open it up to members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak on this item, please approach the podium. Seeing none, I know we have interested parties, but no reason to speak. In that case, no one approaching, we will return it back to the council for a motion.
I would,
You want to do it?
sure, I'll do it. I'd be delighted to move that we authorize the city manager to execute a sales agreement with Colin Wyrick for the private purchase of the Centennial Plaza properties as listed in the staff report.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Funk, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Daris. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Funk,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Daris,
Yes.
Mayor Bobo.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Mr. Wyrick. You bought yourself a property. We look forward. It looks like it'll be a beautiful project, a real enhancement to our downtown Sunken Gardens area, and I look forward to seeing it go up. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to council announcements and committee reports. We'll start on my left with Councilmember Peak.
No committee reports. I am looking forward to dining out this Friday. That's a great incentive. The orange and gray, awesome deal, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the football goers parking downtown and enjoying downtown.
Great, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Daris.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the wine walk. I like that one 4 times a year. Capsule meeting is this Thursday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make that. Last week was APCD. We didn't really have much. It was a couple of receive and file reports that we discussed. But that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Funk.
The Homeless Services Oversight Council met last week. And among other things, we had heard a housing update on the various things that expand permanent supportive housing and low-income housing in general that help us both address and prevent homelessness. And among those was the celebration of the more than 70 units for low-income seniors that have opened up here in Atascadero at the expansion of the California Manor facility. So that's, we don't necessarily see that much, but that makes a huge impact in the lives of people who are able to continue to live affordably in this community and to avoid becoming customers of ECHO and our other things. So I also just want to briefly report to my colleagues that I was downtown Saturday night having a lovely dinner with my husband at Mr. Q. And it was great to see the community out enjoying a lovely late summer evening, walking safely through our downtown areas back and forth across El Camino, enjoying all the businesses. Doors were open. People were buying barbecue and getting yogurts at 9 o'clock at night, and just really, everybody was running around having a good time. And the life and vigor that's in this community from the investments that have been made to make that happen, that have been executed so well, was just really great to see. So I want to applaud our staff for all the work that's gone into that.
Thank you. I think, yeah, it's great. We've achieved takeoff speed, in terms of downtown has been revitalized, and now we're looking at, just in making it better all the time. And this thing we just approved will also go a long ways to help doing that. Councilmember Newsom.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. I will mention that last week I attended the annual meeting of Central Coast Community Energy Board. That was interesting. It's interesting how, the state and the Public Utilities Commission, it's always in a constant state of flux of what they require, don't require in terms of backup power and this and that, and how much they're charging our residents or any given jurisdiction's residents for what they call the power charge and difference adjustment, which is to help mitigate costs that PG&E had incurred to, enter into major long-term contracts for power. It seems like it changes radically every year, so it becomes, very difficult for any organization to plan very well. But things are overall going well in that in the regard in terms of the running of the 3CE. I think tenant IWMA, we're well embarked on our new fiscal year, and our new executive director is doing a good job. So we did terminate a technical assistance grant program that provided $10,000 grants to different jurisdictions and entities for various projects. We terminated that program, which was not a big deal financially, but it was, I'd say, a significant deal in terms of a way to approach business going forward. And I think that's all I had from committee. I did attend the mayor's meeting last Friday out at ACI Jet at San Luis Airport. Kind of a fascinating operation out there, where they fuel all the aircraft out there, but they also, maintain and allow people to store some pretty fancy private jets, and they maintain private jets out there, and pretty fancy operation, I'll say. Okay, any individual determinations or actions? Okay, I have one. I wanted to announce to the public as well that it was in the minutes of our meeting, but 2 weeks ago, the council met in special session and appointed Joey Farrell to at-large position on the Planning Commission. There are 2 at-large positions on the Planning Commission that are appointed by the council as a whole. The other 5 seats are appointed by us as individual council members. My Planning Commission member, Victoria Carranza, who had served for several years, had recently resigned, and I have selected Mr. Tom Jones as my replacement for her. So I think that's all we've got. Anything else? We will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.